Hey guys, what's up? This is a temporary update podcast, and that's unusual for me. Most of what I record, I'm thinking will last 5 years, will last 100 years, will be there for my daughter to hear one day, and this is not. I would like to make a more philosophical and reflective video for YouTube or for you guys as a podcast here on Patreon soon, reflecting on this event. But long story short, to just provide a quick update today, this is May 31st in Thailand. Yesterday, May 30th, I had a run-in with a guy named Jimmy. We actually bumped into each other 3 times in the same day, spread out over a period of 8 hours. And that did come close to a fist fight twice. The first event at noon, and the last event is at 8 p.m., so I say it's an even 8-hour split. Maybe about 7:45 last time I bumped into him. I don't know. The problem is partly that there will still be rumors spreading about this today, and I think the rumors will be based on the run-in we had with each other at noon. But I came here to Thailand completely prepared for the possibility of someone assaulting me, completely prepared for someone trying to instigate a fist fight or escalate a situation into a physical conflict. And it's a good thing I'm prepared because that's exactly what happened yesterday with this guy named Jimmy. Jimmy, he literally wears a vegan t-shirt and he's part of the pro-durian rider scene here. He doesn't seem to have a lot of friends. I'm not saying that to insult him, but I mean, he wasn't acting with a group of people backing him up or a posse or something. He was very much acting alone in trying to start a fist fight. Now, the reason why I want to do a more philosophical set of reflections on this in the future is that how I handled this really does reflect my own background in philosophy and what I call real philosophy. If you think about what Socrates was doing, if you think about peripatetic method in ancient Greece, the ability to talk to someone on the street, literally, to talk to someone who's upset about a war, upset about justice and injustice, upset about real problems, and to take that discussion and make it philosophical, to deal with the profound underlying issues instead of just dealing with ego or dealing with anger, and instead of having a fist fight. That is, from my perspective, a crucial part of real philosophy, although I do not get to define what's real philosophy and what's fake philosophy. I'm just saying, from my perspective, that's where it's at. So I think there are deeper issues here that are worth talking about. But to give a short, shallow version of what happened, at noon, I met Leah at a mall that has a vegan food court in the basement. Sorry, it's a food court that has all kinds of food, but one of the stalls is a vegan buffet. So it's a food court that has a vegan option available. And the seating is really crowded there. It's a bunch of seats at a long wooden table. So there are a whole lot of Thai people there all sitting down at this table. It's lunchtime, it's busy. There are just a lot of people, period. And I actually sat down initially just with Leah and with one Israeli guy, an Israeli vegan, who is pro-durian rider and is doing the whole long-distance cycling thing, and who is very literally doing the permanent vacation thing. He's here on long-term vacation, riding up and down the same riding his bicycle up and down the same mountain every day, etc. But this Israeli guy, even though he knew who I was and knew my YouTube channel, and he appreciated me and wanted to talk with me. Although obviously he's a fan of durian rider, which shows maturity and what have you. You can be a fan of both. I mean, I talk about City Hall. Durian rider talks about weight loss. You can be a fan of both real politics and whatever it is durian rider's selling. I don't really have anything against that. I don't have a problem with that. But anyway, this guy, Jimmy, he joined us, and several other vegans joined us also. And the several other vegans who I don't really know, I could see from the way they looked at me. They knew who I was. They had some sense that I was an important person, or some sense that it was dangerous for them to be sitting down with me. You know what I mean? You could see they were apprehensive about the whole situation. But they weren't rude or anything. So, it is what it is. So quite a few other vegans kind of drifted into the room, and some sat down with us, not all. But this guy, Jimmy, was looking for his first opportunity to start a fist fight. And I guess I'm not going to get into the details of this recording of exactly who said what, but there he did, come to the edge of throwing punches. He was, trembling with rage and stuff. And I reacted in terms of what I said and how I said it. I remained calm because I was used to this, and also because the actual content of what he was saying is all stuff I could handle. He did say some things that sounded anti-Semitic, and if you're an outsider listening to it, because he was jumping in on the conversation I had with was having with this Israeli guy. I do not believe he's anti-Semitic. I think he was just angry and looking for an excuse. He was looking for an excuse to say something so outrageous that it was going to cause a fist fight. That's what he was trying to do. And what he said, he was accusing me of being racist against Palestinians. Good luck with that. I'm not a pro-Zionist. I'm not racist against Palestinians, but whatever. And I'm also not offended if you say that I am, so we can talk about it. But anyway, not the best tactic. But what he said did come out sounding offensive and stupid and anti-Semitic, which, I don't think he meant. And then he immediately followed that up. I did respond in a pretty detached way to the content of what he was saying. But he then followed that up by saying what was really on his mind, by denouncing me as being some kind of critic of Durian Rider and demanding to know what I was doing here anyway. How dare I come to Chiang Mai anyway? Now, I did respond to that, and, Chiang Mai has been a big part of my life for more than 10 years. I told him I've been living in Southeast Asia. I mean, again, I was just not responding to this by escalating the conflict. And I was also not afraid. As I've said here recently, I'm not a nice guy. If this guy wants a fist fight with me, broad daylight, all right, let's do it. You really want to throw punches in the middle of a crowded mall, in the food court of a mall, it's full of people? Well, we're both going to spend the night in prison if you do that. Thai authorities, they won't care who started the fight or who said what. They'll put us both in jail for maybe one night, maybe a couple nights, and then probably let you out. I mean, Thai authorities have a lot of experience dealing with drunken, unruly tourists. They probably do not have as much experience dealing with completely clean and sober vegans starting a fist fight over nothing in a food court. But hey, the cops will treat you the same way as they'll treat some stoned, drunks in a bar who start a fist fight over nothing. So, all right, I'm not afraid to go to prison. I'm not afraid to handle this fist fight. That's my attitude. But in terms of what I actually said back to him, I did just address the substance of what he was saying. And I was also trying to inform him about who I am, because these people, he hadn't watched any of my videos on YouTube. He just had some vague idea of me as an enemy of the people, and he was trying to show, his fealty to the cult. That's what it is. He's trying to show that he's the most loyal disciple without understanding what's going on or why any of it matters. And above all else, he's wearing a t-shirt that says save the planet. He's not trying to save the planet starting a fist fight with me. He's not trying to save the planet by denouncing me for being a Jew. Good luck, homeboy. Anyway, also Jimmy's a big guy. Just mentioned. I'm 6'3". He's about the same height as me, and he's big all over. So would have been a real fight. Unlike someone dramatically larger, dramatically smaller than me. He's definitely much younger than me. I would guess his age at 21, 22, 23. Could be off. No big deal though. But anyway, that situation ended because I was just responding by breaking down. I was like, hey man, if you want to make it happen, we can make it happen. But look, this is who I am. I've been doing scholarship of Southeast Asia for, more than a decade. I don't know since when, since 2002, 2003 or something. I've been going to Chiang Mai. I lived in Thailand for years, Laos, Cambodia, this area, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Yunnan. This is what I'm about. I've been coming here since before there was any vegan festival. I'm somebody trying to organize political activism, for veganism and ecological change on the internet. Whatever, man. See me when you see me. Like, is this really a problem? And he is part of it. He was trembling. I wouldn't say with rage, but when guys get into that mindset, he's trembling because he's got the adrenaline going, and his instincts are all acting up. And at a pretty early stage, he stood up. He wasn't sitting in his seat. He was standing up over this table in the food court, and he started putting all of his food onto one plate so he could move away to another table. So I guess at that point, he'd already given up the idea of actually having a fist fight with me that minute, but he was still trying to show what a tough guy he was and how much he could intimidate me or insult me or disrespect me, I guess. So this event had a fair number of witnesses, and I'm guessing different stories about it are still circulating, like today. And I assume Jimmy himself has told some distorted version of the story or tried to make me sound like an asshole or something. As I say, whether or not someone observing it, whether or not they think I was a nice guy in handling it, I did handle it. And, I responded to someone disrespecting me and threatening me in a way that was, relatively respectful and controlled, but still, commanding and forceful, and saying, look, this is my table. You sat down and joined me. I didn't disrespect you. You disrespected me. Where do we take it from here? So, it is what it is. But, you're not going to have that kind of fist fight in a mall. It's a joke. It's not, he could have thrown a punch or two, but, this is not really going to go anywhere. But, he was trying to instigate something, and I knew very well, this can spill over. This can carry on. This can happen tomorrow night or something else. So that is why I wanted to handle it. I bumped into him once more on the street when he was on his bike. He shouted crude insults at me from his bicycle. It was a couple hours later. And then I bumped into him again on the street, 7:45 or 8 p.m. when I was walking Leah home. Leah and I talked for 8 hours solid from noon to 8 p.m. And there, as I say, on the street, so he was, again, that started off being on the edge of having a real fist fight. I'm not going to get into the details who said what, but I did handle that in a really philosophical way. And the positive thing that came out of that discussion on the street corner, that started with him being on the edge of having a street fight with me, and of him saying he didn't want to talk to me at all and refusing to talk to me. And I managed to transform that into a relatively, informative exchange of views. I managed to make that into a philosophical conversation, and where he really learned who I am and what I'm about and what motivates me. And, whether or not he respects it, his whole attitude changed, his whole understanding of the situation changed. And, his assumptions about who I was were obviously challenged. And, it ended with no possibility. I don't think that guy's going to start a fist fight with me today, tomorrow, or ever. And I think if he's now going to tell the story of what happened yesterday, he would not tell such a crude and insulting version. But as I say, 8 hours passed. So probably during that 8 hours, he told a lot of people some version of that story. And other people, the other witnesses there, might have told some version of it. Whether it's just to make me sound like a jerk or what. But in a sense, that's a shame, because the final conversation we had at 8 o'clock on the street corner, with only me, him, and Leah. So there's only one other witness to that. It's just the three of us there. That did have a positive outcome in the end. But again, if you witness that, you might think I'm a real nice guy. In a sense, I'm not. In a sense, what I'm doing is handling that situation. And ultimately, my attitude was, from start to finish, if you want to have this fist fight, okay, we're going to do it now. If that's what it's got to be, that's what it's got to be. I was completely willing to, resort to violence or, spend the night in jail or what have you. But, among the last things I said to him, because, I'd say in that conversation, I really won in the sense that, it transformed the whole situation and his attitude towards it. But, at the end of that conversation, I was saying things to him like, look, man, you're welcome to disagree with me on the internet. If you watch my YouTube channel and you disagree with 9 things out of 10 that I say, that's great. I'm happy for you. But there's one thing out of 10 we still have in common, and it's the thing written on your t-shirt. Okay? Your t-shirt says vegan. Your t-shirt says you're trying to save the planet. Why don't you really think about how different this whole situation would be if you were actually motivated to save the planet? So as I say, there are actually a lot of sort of deeper things to reflect on coming out of that whole scenario. For now, this is long story short. This is just to put this update out for my Patreon supporters. And, I hope nothing worse comes of it today. From my perspective, problem got addressed, and I was willing to address it. My preference was to address it philosophically, to deal with things non-violently. I'm never out here looking to cause a ruckus to make someone respect me. As soon as you have the idea that you have to punish someone for disrespecting you, you got the wrong attitude towards life. I'm not trying to make anyone respect me. From my perspective, he's welcome to make videos that disrespect me or disagree with me. That's part of democracy, freedom of speech and all that. So I'm not trying to make him respect me. But if you're going to violate me, if you're actually going to assault me, then yes, I'm going to fight back. And yes, we're going to have to resolve it that way, because that's the situation you created, Jimmy. It was the choice you made. And I was 100% prepared for that every time I bumped into him yesterday. We bumped into each other 3 times, even though it's not my preference. And I did get what I wanted. I got my preference. I got to deal with it philosophically. and it was on the level of philosophy that I won. So, what can I tell you? Reading Aristotle and Socrates and all that, it has some it has some practical value in life. Even when you're dealing with such what might seem to be such a kind of immature, silly, and stupid situation. All right, guys, that's enough for now. Hopefully, I'm not giving you another update like 3 hours from now about another fist fight that broke out or something. But I mean, it's real. And I mean, obviously, Leah and I talked for so many hours. There were a lot of reflections on, the good and the bad and the ugly of what's going on here, and this kind of cult mentality that's developed around one form of veganism. But, I said to him some things that you've heard me say on YouTube before, too. Like I said to him, look, man, I try to cooperate with people I have all kinds of differences from. I don't really have that much in common with Henya. I don't have that much in common with Jason. But we're vegan, and I'm trying to make something positive happen. I'm trying to cooperate and collaborate with all kinds of people. And I talked to him about the Mormon woman, plant-based hippie. She's a conservative Mormon, but she's vegan. There's some things we have in common and some things we don't, and I'm interested in building on that common ground stuff. And again, that part of it, that was already after I had kind of, settled his hostility. I had kind of overcome. We're not on the edge of having a fist fight at that moment anymore. But obviously that was a new idea for him. That was a fundamentally different way of thinking about veganism and what he's doing in Chiang Mai and what I'm doing in Chiang Mai and what he's doing on that street corner trying to instigate a fucking punch-up with me. That's a different way from seeing the world. And of course, what it's different from is exactly what he sees on Durian Rider's YouTube channel and the ideology that he has fashioned for himself. Partly out of Durian Rider, partly also, probably he gets some of his attitude from Gary Yourofsky, probably gets some of his attitude from other sources, I don't know. He's got his own mentality, his own view of the world that he's put together in these bits and pieces. And yeah, as simple as that sounds, my saying to him, I actually try to cooperate with a conservative Mormon who, believes pornography is evil. And I try to cooperate with, all kinds of people who are of different religions and different beliefs and different political values. And I do it because I'm really vegan. I'm really trying to save the planet. I'm really concerned about the ecology and ethics of veganism. That for him, ultimately, I think that's a message he's going to carry with him for the rest of his life. But otherwise, look, man, at this age, I'm not getting any prettier. I don't mind getting the bruises. I don't mind getting my teeth knocked out. I don't mind spending the night in prison. I don't mind getting uglier. I don't mind putting my blood down on the concrete. If that's what it's got to be, then that's what it's got to be. It's not my preference. I'd rather win exactly the way I won in this scenario, but anybody can get it. And for me at age 37, homeboy, on a deep level, I do not care if I live or die. And that is a difference between me and all you fake-ass tough guys who are out here on permanent vacation. Okay? You guys are here ultimately for the sake of vanity. And I never was. I was here for meaningful reasons, doing real things, whether it's the humanitarian research, the historical research, the language research, everything. You guys on Patreon have heard me talk about this stuff to death. But it was real for me then. It's real for me now. This is a part of my life, and that's why I talk about it on YouTube. And Freely and Durian Rider are a part of my life. That's why I talk about them on YouTube. And all I talk about on YouTube is being honest about my real life, whether it's my divorce or my job situation or the languages I'm studying. But I'm out here really trying to do something positive. So if you're out here trying to start a fist fight over nothing, you got to look in the mirror and examine your means, your motives, and how it is you're trying to make the world a better place.